Hello everyone. This is the part 2 of the presentation made on the topic quality of service. In part 1 we already seen what are all the parameters that define QoS in a typical network and about the different types of application, particularly classification of real-time applications like a tolerant, intolerant, adaptive, and which are in need of QoS. So here we will see some details about the implementation. We are just starting it. So we are starting with the problem statement. We know that there is no quality of service in an IPv4 network, right? And because it is providing only best effort delivery. Now how we can add this QoS in a typical IPv4 network. The problem is you have two approaches. Either you can come up with an entirely new architecture that provides QoS, or you can make use of the existing architecture to provide it, right? But however, the internet architecture, that is the combination of Ethernet and IP, is so popular that it is not a good idea to come up with an entirely new architecture. So it is always better to come up better to add this QoS as an additional layer to the existing Ethernet IP combination. So the question is how to ensure QoS in a typical best effort network. So there are different measures as well as protocols that are proposed in literature, and most of these techniques are working by means of effective resource allocation and usage. For example, this admission control, classification, scheduling, policing, these are all different techniques by which we can ensure QoS in a typical network. And this differentiator service, integrator service, and reservation protocol, these are all different protocols that are proposed, protocol as well as approaches that are proposed to implement QoS in a typical network. Now before starting, we'll see about resource allocation, because resource allocation, the proper resource allocation is the core in providing QoS, right? So what is resource in a typical network? It could be the bandwidth of the links, or it can be the buffers at the switches and routers that we know. Now we know in a typical network the packets are content at a router for the use of the link, right? Because within a router many incoming packets will be coming, and outgoing there may be a single link, and everyone will be contending at the router for using that link, and with each packet placed in a queue waiting for its turn to be transmitted over the net link. So it is something like here source 1 and source 2 are trying to send some information to destination, and when both are coming at the queue and see the link capacity, both source 1 and source 2 are connected to 100 megabits per second Ethernet, but the outgoing link is supporting 1.5 megabits per second only, right? So 100 plus 100 200 is what is the requirement, but outgoing link is not able to provide. So naturally the queues can be overflowed at some point, and packet dropping can occur. So when it comes to QoS, such dropping of the packet, you have to be careful. You should do it in a priority basis, or you have to try your best to avoid that dropping. So when too many packets are contending for the same link, the queues are overflowing and the packets are getting dropped, right? Now how we can evaluate the whether your resource allocation is done in a proper way or not? How we can evaluate the resource allocation in a typical network? So now we are using two parameters. One thing is power. You can look at this. Power is defined like a throughput by delay ratio, and you know what is throughput? The number of bits that are delivered per unit time, right? So you know, when there is no traffic, no congestion, or when you start your communication, you can expect that the throughput is keep increasing as you send more and more information, and the delay is also less as there is no problem. But after some point, when everyone started communicating, and it will reach a say a point where there is congestion in the network and the packets are getting dropped, so definitely the throughput will be decreasing, right? And the delay is also increasing because you have to do retransmission, everything. So if you are drawing a curve with respect to time, it will look like something. Initially it is keep increasing, then it is decreasing, like that. So that is one parameter. Another one, you have to see whether the allocation done is fair or not. Now the resource allocation, different methods or solutions. There are methods which are network centric or host centric. That means where the decision making process is happening, whether it is taken place at the network, that is on the intermediate routers on the way, or it is happening at the host itself, like a sender or receiver based allocation. Now reservation based and feedback based. Reservation based means a forward approach where before starting your communication, maybe in a connection establishment phase, you are reserving all the resources which are needed for the communication. Then in a safe way you are starting your communication. But in case of feedback based, initially there will not be any reservation or minimum reservation. Now based on the feedback that are coming out from the network, we are doing the reservation. So that is one approach. Another one is window based or rate based approach. We know the concept of window, sender and receiver window, that we studied in our flow control concept. So by looking at the receiver window, we know how much data the receiver is able to accept. Accordingly, do the reservation on the intermediate routers. That is, window advertisement advertised by the receiver can be used within the network to reserve the buffer spaces at the intermediate routers. Now another one, we are controlling the rate at which sender is sending the data. That means the control sender's behavior using some specific rate. We are not allowing bursty traffic. Instead, we are controlling, like this is a maximum speed by which the sender can send the data. So how many bits per second the receiver or the network is able to absorb. Now the different approaches to providing quality of service. These can be broadly divided into fine-grained approaches and coarse-grained approaches. So what is fine-grained approach? That provide the quality of service to individual applications or flows. We will see what is this flow in the upcoming slide. So as of now, it is something, all the packets which are generated as part of a typical application, which is generated from on source and it is received at the receiver, or actually, the communication is between two processes, right? So between the sender and the receiver process, the set of all packets which are traveling is something we can call as a flow. So per flow, if we are doing trying to provide QoS, that is called a fine-grained approach. But when it comes to coarse-grained approaches, we provide QoS to some large class of data or aggregated traffic, and we are not doing it in a per flow basis. Okay. So in the first category, that is a fine-grained approach, we have something called integrated service architecture, INTSER, which is a quality of service architecture that is developed by Internet Engineering Task Force IETF and often associated with the reservation protocol RSVP. We will see how this RSVP is working in detail. Now if you are looking at the ATM network, the way in which ATM is providing QoS was also in this category, that is this integrated service category or fine-grained approach you can see in ATM. And integrated service is something that is proposed for the typical TCP/IP network, not for ATM. So now in the second category, we have the differentiated services protocol or approach, some umbrella technique, which is probably the most widely deployed QoS mechanism compared to the other one. And we will see because integrated services having certain limitations which are overcome by differentiated service, so it is somewhat more popular. So first we will see do our discussion on integrated service followed by differentiated service, because this is the first approach which is proposed, right? So the term integrated service, or in short INSER, refers to the body of work that was produced by the Internet Engineering Task Force around 1995 to 1997. So just look at the year. Recently we have the differentiated service. This is the first one. So integrated service working group developed specifications of a number of service classes designed to meet the needs of some application types demanding QoS. So look at the application which are in need of QoS. What they are doing, they are dividing it into different service classes, and we will see what are all the service classes. And with respect to different classes, we are providing different levels of QoS. Okay. It also defined how, because in integrated service we are making use of the reservation protocol RSVP, right? So it is also defining how RSVP could be used to make the reservation using these service classes. So some detail about the service classes. It's like if you are looking at the typical integrated service architecture that is proposed for our TCP/IP network, they have three service classes mainly, broad classification, but you can think of more service classes also, so that the QoS implementation will be more flexible. Okay, as of now we are discussing three classes. The first one is the guaranteed service, then the controlled load service, and the typical best effort service also. That is what we have. Over the best effort we are having additionally two more service classes. So totally you can think of it as three service classes: the best effort class, the guaranteed service, and the controlled load. And you know what is best effort service class. So if you are looking at guaranteed service, the word itself suggests that there is some service guarantees, right? So this is one of the service class that is designed for the intolerant non-adaptive application. We already seen what is intolerant application, which is not ready to tolerate any loss of data. It's a kind of application coming under real-time application. And non-adaptive means it is not ready to adapt to delay variation as well as rate variation. And these applications require that a packet will never arrive late. It should be done in a timely basis. That's a network should guarantee that that is the thing, that the maximum delay that any packet will experience has some specified value, some delay limit. The application can then set its playback point so that no packet will ever arrive after its playback time. This playback time concept also we see in first part. We assume that early arrival of packets can always be handled by means of buffering, so that is how we are achieving the playback delivery. Now controlled load traffic, this is another class of application to meet the needs of the tolerant adaptive application. And you know, it is just opposite to the intolerant non-adaptive application. It is ready to tolerate the data losses as well as it is ready to adapt to the delay variation, etc. So it was motivated by the observation that existing applications of this type run quite well on networks that are not heavily loaded, because they are not asking you for any guaranteed service. They are just adaptable, right? So with the existing network, simply they will just like a best effort delivery, they are ready to work. But if there is congestion and all, they demand some more priority compared to the normal best effort delivery. So if the network is not heavily loaded, then they run smoothly. So we can think of queuing mechanism like weighted fair queuing, and that can be used to isolate the controlled traffic from others, and accordingly we can give some weight or priority for them. And some form of admission control technique can also be used to limit the total amount of controlled loaded traffic on a link, such that load is kept reasonably low. So by some admission control technique that we will see in upcoming slides, we can try to control the data rate that is coming into the network, so that when everything is fine, this control load service class of application runs smoothly. So that about service classes. Now an overview of the mechanisms that are applied in case of integrated service. So first we will see the concept of flow. What is a flow? It is a set of packets associated with a single application that share common requirement or common endpoint. You can see that a flow can be defined by sender IP, receiver IP, sender port and a receiver port, like that. So from a machine to another machine, as part of a given application, set of all packets which are generated is what we call as a flow. So a flow is having some specification, and that is what we call as flow spec. The set of information or the type of the service that we provide to the network about a flow is referred to as the flow spec. Basically there are two separable parts of flow spec, that is T spec, traffic spec, and R spec. T spec means the part of the flow spec that describes the flow's traffic characteristics. So what are all the traffic characteristics, what a flow is possessing, what kind of flow it is, that the flow is informing to the network. Now R spec means something what is demanded by the flow. That is, R spec is the part that describes the service which is requested from the network by a flow. So what the flow is in need is R spec, and what the flow is possessing, what are the traffic characteristics of the flow, that is T spec. For example, T spec, you can think of the average and the peak bandwidth used by the flow. So given a flow, you can define what is average rate as well as a maximum how much data rate the flow is required. for making intelligent admission control decisions. And also RSpec, you can think of something like the flow is in need of some say some qualitative information, such as use a controlled load service. That means the flow is telling to the network that you always use a controlled load service for servicing me. Or it can be a quantitative information, such as I need a maximum delay of say 100 milliseconds, so always try to ensure this delay. And the network, it can be some network resource requirement requested by the flow, etc. Now we already seen some terminology like admission control. We are just looking at what it is. So what is admission control? When we ask a network to provide us with a particular service, like when a flow is asking for a service, the network needs to decide whether it can provide that service or not. That means whether it can admit a given flow or not. If you are admitting it, the network is supposed to provide the service guarantees also. For example, it is not like always a network is able to admit every flow. If it is not able to admit a flow, then it can inform the sender, like for the time being I am not able to provide these guarantees. For example, if there are 10 users and they are asking for say 2 megabits per second of link capacity each with say different flows, and they all share a link with 10 megabits per second. See, the link capacity is 10 megabits per second only. Now we 10 users are connected to it and each are in need of 2 megabits per second. So total requirement is 20 megabits per second. We are not able to provide it, right? So the network will have to say no to some of them. So that decision making, whether you are going to say yes or no to admit a given flow or not, it's called admission control. The process of deciding when to say no is called admission control. Now another technique is called reservation or signaling. That we know on the way how you are reserving the parameters for a flow. The mechanism by which the users of the network and the components of the network itself exchange information, such as the request for service, the flow spec, admission control decision, etc. Accordingly, the reservation, how the reservation is to be done. So that is why it is also called a signaling, because it's a kind of information exchange. Based on the information, the reservation will be done. So this is achieved by means of reservation protocol, typically the RSVP protocol. So packet scheduling is another technology, like when the flows and their requirement have been described, that means you admit a flow and accordingly you done the reservation, everything, and the admission control decision is made. The network switches and the routers have to meet the requirement, because you already promised something. Now how the network is going to meet those requirements that are promised for a given flow. A key part of meeting these requirements is managing the way the packets are queued and scheduled for transmission in the switches and the routers. That means on the way how you are going to meet the requirements of the packet, as well as how you are going to schedule the packet. That means based on the priority, based on the service class, you can do the scheduling in a proper way. So that about this part. Thank you, and more details about QoS you can see in the upcoming presentation.